Thank you, Kelly. As Kelly mentioned, we've got a great presentation for you this morning. I know most of you have an agency management system, and if you're like me, I had an agency for 23 years, and we had an agency management system, and I probably didn't get the functionality of all of that system. There are challenges in figuring out how to get the most out of that system. Well, we have someone who's going to be presenting to you this morning to give you solutions on how to get the most mileage out of your agency management system, and that is George Robertson. As Kelly mentioned, he's our agency automation expert at IANC. George has a computer science major, and he's also an independent agent. So he's, I think, uniquely qualified to bring you his perspective on how to get the best mileage out of your agency management system. So at this time, I'd like to introduce George Robertson.
Thank you, Vince. It's a pleasure to be with you today. We're going to talk about getting the best mileage out of your agency management systems. And I say systems in the sense that it's not just agency management system that we had in our office and we used it to keep up with our clients and our policies. It's also our websites. It's also document management, comparative raters. And now it's really interesting because we have these wonderful devices, our phones, right? And if you've been here at the convention, I hope that you downloaded the app that's out there. I've used this greatly during the course of the convention to go through and check the schedule to see where I needed to be. It's a great app. You can walk through there and see what room you need to be in, what time the event starts, and you can check the speakers and what they're going to talk about. So if you haven't downloaded that, I encourage you to do that. We can also use that as we go back and use it in our agencies to communicate with our clients. We can put apps on our phone. They can go to the app. They can file a claim. There's a nice claim app out there now where you can, if a customer has a claim or has an accident, they can go to that and put in information. They can take photographs of the accident. They can take photographs of the person's driver's license information and send all of that back to your system. So today, let's just begin by talking about our agenda. Our agenda today is going to be, first, we're going to talk about a GPS, kind of like we're taking a trip. So we're going to get our location right, okay? We want to talk about the fact of updating your GPS. And what is our GPS? Our GPS is our website. It's how people find us on the internet. So we're going to talk about how we can improve that. We're going to talk about preparing for our trip. How do we do that? By creating and executing your marketing plan. A lot of agencies that I've visited over the course of the years, very few have a marketing plan. Those that do not execute it well. So we want to talk about that today in ways that we want to continue to create a marketing plan within our agencies and also execute that marketing plan. We also want to talk about driving with efficiency. Okay, how do we do that with our agency management systems? We do that with carrier downloads. Now, some of you will say we've had carrier downloads for a while, but the agency management systems today are taking that data and helping us expand upon what we get from that download. We'll also talk about real-time access to your carrier's information from your management system. And then, of course, we have time. We'll take some questions at the end. So let's go ahead and begin here. So let's talk about why we have a website today. So we took the time, we went out and we invested in our website. We put our information up there. Most websites today tend to be more of a brochure. But we did that so people could find us, so they could get information about us. And we did that to hopefully increase sales. But really what a website does is people don't necessarily buy insurance off of a website like they do on eBay where they buy goods. Okay? They really use the website to find information about the insurance agent, okay, or about the policy or what the cost is and what coverages are there. Then they'll usually make a phone call back to talk to the agent or purchase a policy. Some people might, the millennial generation, might actually purchase on the website today. Anybody read the blogs that are on the website? We put a blog out about the millennial generation recently. If you haven't read that, I encourage you to go read that blog because they do things differently. And I share this with you. I got my daughter a cell phone, about 6-8 months ago. And I gave her the cell phone, and in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, she's going to exceed our call minute plan, right? because I didn't want to get this huge bill that comes back in the mail, and it's just way over the top, and I'm all worried about this. So the bill comes in 30 days later, and I've got the bill, and I'm opening up this thing, and I'm really scared to open up this bill, because I just know that this is going to be through the roof, and I'm going to have a talk. Well, I opened it up, and guess what I found? She hadn't made hardly any phone calls. I was so excited. I thought, man, this is great. I said she's being responsible. She knows not to make too many phone calls. She stayed within the limit and way within the limit. Very few phone calls, actually. And I said, man, this is great. But guess what she was doing? That's right. She was texting. Where were you guys before I needed you? Okay, she was texting, right? But not just texting. I compared it to my text. My text was around 100, 128. And I multiplied that out, and I looked at her number. Her number was exponentially higher than mine was for the entire year in a 30-day period. That's amazing, isn't it? But that's the way they communicate. That's the way that generation communicates. So as we look at our technologies and what we're doing, it's a communication issue. It's communicating with people to get information and for them to gather information about us. Okay? So this is another means of communication. So we have our website for people to get information about us. We also have our website for customer service. Wow. You know, what's great today is that with your agency management systems, you now have the ability to put information on your website where your clients can go in and look up their policy information. They can file a claim. They can print an auto ID card. And for those commercial clients, they can print a certificate. And that's all available. Now, if you think about that from our perspective, what does that do for us? It really helps us out because it reduces the time that we have to do the customer service piece on our end, so we can do other things by calling the customers back and maybe cross-selling accounts. It also allows us, in a case of a catastrophe, the ability for our clients to still have access to us. Okay? And that's very important. We need to think about that, especially with the storms that we've had lately. So today, that's what we've got. So we've got the website there, but really the key that we're going to talk about here is, where do we rank on the web? You've done your Google search? You've gone out there, you've gone to Google, you've typed in, you try to find your agency, and it's like buried 15 pages or 1,000 pages, or how far it is down the list. How do we get up on that list? Where do we rank? Okay? That's a big thing, because if they can't find you, they can't look at your website, they can't communicate with you. Okay? So it's very important that we figure out a way that they can find us, okay, when they're looking at the internet. Now, I share this with you as well. We've got a piece up here that says car insurance. With Google Analytics, you can get a lot of great data. So if you go out there and you Google auto or automobile insurance, and you Google car insurance, which one do you think the word cheap is associated with the most? It's associated with car insurance. That's interesting, isn't it? Well, see, now that you know that, when you build your website, you know that you can put on that website, about discounts and low down payments and things of that nature, so people will see that when you're putting in car insurance. Okay? So that's important for us to know. Those analytics from Google are important. But now, here's what we have today. Here's the issue we face. The issue that we face is our competition has done a great job of being at the top of that list. They really have. And that's because they're cross-linking each other. Okay? If you look at the direct writers, they're cross-linking all of their agents in the field so that they can be pushed up in the Google ranking. And we're going to talk about that a little bit today so that you understand a little bit of the dynamics of how this works and why it is important for us to know this and figure out a solution for it. Okay? So that's where our competition is today. They're up there at the top. And they're doing paid advertisements as well. So the three phases of search, when you look at your search and you do your search and it pops up on the screen, on the right and the top, we're going to have paid search. Okay, if you're clicking on the right or the top, somebody actually paid for that particular piece to come up on that screen. Okay, and we can do that as well. There's ways that you can do that as an independent agent, and you can market to that. I think one of the interesting things that I found out recently was this. We had the Yellow Page people come in and they sat down to renew the Yellow Page ad. Anybody here still using Yellow Page ads? Okay. Well, I'll share this with you. So we're in there and we're talking about this and we're talking about the price of the ad and everything. I said, well, we're not really getting our return on investment. People aren't coming in and saying, hey, I saw you in the Yellow Pages. And so they made an interesting statement. And the statement was, well, we know that. Most people, when they shop for insurance now, are going to the internet. And that's a trend that's been happening for several years. So if we don't address this issue today, we're going to be left behind. So we need to do that. So as we get back to this, you also have in the center, you have local search. Now this is something that's fairly new. Hasn't been out there but for a year or so, but local search is great. Local search was really evolved by the mobile device. Because as you're on your mobile device, the GPS system picks up where you are, and it determines, when you type in something like gas station, what gas stations are nearby. So with local search, they wanted to do this on the internet, so they started working on this. So this is an area where people really, truly, if they're local, trying to find insurance, that's where they're going to look first. Okay. Then you have organic search. Organic search is all the other information that the search engines put together and put in their databases, and they list that information there. Now, that's not paid search. People will click there first before they'll go anywhere else. Before they'll go to the paid search, they'll click the local or the organic search. Okay, so that's really where you want to be. Of course, here again with local search, we have the issue of our wonderful direct writers muscling us out a little bit because they've had the time and the funds and the resources to make sure that they pop up on the first page. So now, what I want to do for a moment, I want to go to a YouTube video by Matt Cutts from Google. I think you'll find this quite interesting to see how the search engine works and what they do behind the scenes. So I want to play this for you. It's a couple of minutes. I want you to see this, and we're going to talk about it. Richie, if you could take us to the video, please. Little icon down at the bottom there. Little pylon. See it? Yeah, come on down. That's it, right there. And then just click play. Great.
Hi, my name is Matt Cutts. I'm an engineer in the quality group at Google, and I'd like to talk today about what happens when you do a web search. The first thing to understand is that when you do a Google search, you aren't actually searching the web. You're searching Google's index of the web, or at least as much of it as we can find. We do this with software programs called spiders. Spiders start by fetching a few web pages. Then they follow the links on those pages and fetch the pages they point to, and follow all the links on those pages and fetch the pages they link to, and so on, until we've indexed a pretty big chunk of the web. Many billions of pages stored across thousands of machines. Now, suppose I want to know how fast a cheetah can run. I type in my search, say cheetah running speed, and hit return. Our software searches our index to find every page that includes those search terms. In this case, there are hundreds of thousands of possible results. How does Google decide which few documents I really want? By asking questions, more than 200 of them, like, how many times does this page contain your keywords? Do the words appear in the title? In the URL? Directly adjacent? Does the page include synonyms for those words? Is this page from a quality website, or is it low quality, even spammy? What is this page's page rank? That's a formula invented by our founders, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, that rates a web page's importance by looking at how many outside links point to it and how important those links are. Finally, we combine all those factors together to produce each page's overall score and send you back your search results about half a second after you submit your search. At Google, we take our commitment to delivering useful and impartial search results very seriously. We don't ever accept payment to add a site to our index, update it more often, or improve its ranking. Let's take a look at my search results. Each entry includes a title, a URL, and a snippet of text to help me decide whether this page is what I'm looking for. I also see links to similar pages, Google's most recent stored version of that page, and related searches that I might want to try next. And sometimes, along the right and at the top, I'll see ads. We take our advertising business very seriously as well, both our commitment to deliver the best possible audience for advertisers and to strive to only show ads that you really want to see. We're very careful to distinguish your ads from regular search results. And we won't show you any ads at all if we can't find any that we think will help you find the information you're looking for, which in this case, the cheetah's top running speed, is more than 60 miles an hour. Thanks for watching. I hope this made Google a little bit more understandable.
Thank you very much. Now, I think one of the things I learned from that, which is quite interesting, is something I've always thought was true, and that is we have bugs in our computers. Did you see that? You see where they send those little spider things out in our computers? I always thought that, so now I know it's true. I do share this with you. It's quite interesting with Google as a whole. In the Wall Street Journal today, they've got a full-page ad regarding Google and their success with the search engine. So it's very important that we take a look at this and we review this from this perspective. Okay, Richie, can you put that back into slideshow mode for me? Thank you. Okay, so as we look at this, how are we going to combat this? You know, we saw that piece from Matt Cutts who talks about how it works. It's a brief overview about how search works. It doesn't go into detail. I will share this with you that if you want to get more detail on that, there's a book here called Marketing in the Age of Google by Vanessa Fox, who used to work at Google. Great book, a good read for you to understand what you need to do with your website to get it up to the point where you can have better search engine optimization. Okay, so I highly recommend that particular book as a good read during the summer. So we want to get back to this. So how do we combat this? Well, I want to share this with you. The association has spent a lot of time investigating this and going over it. And they've come up with a solution which I think is going to help us. It may not make you number one on the page ranking. You still have to do some work. But it's called findindependentagents.com. Strictly for independent agents. Strictly for our customers to locate us on the internet. For those of you that don't have a website, it's a way to have a web presence. Okay? For those of you that have a website, it's a way to increase your ranking on the web. And that's crucial today because as we talked before, you know, the yellow page ads are going down, people are going to the internet. We have to take this seriously. We have to increase our ranking, all of us together on the internet. So what does this do? It gives us more visibility. We share links with each other. You saw where Matt talked about that, how Google goes out and they search the page and they get the links and they go to the other links and they go to the other links and then they calculate how many links you have to determine where you are in the ranking. They also talked about keywords. It's going to help us with that. It's going to help us with ratings and reviews and better customer access, quick customer access to find us as independent agents. So this is very important, provided for you by the association. Now, how do you sign up with this? Well, actually, you're already there to a small degree. Okay, your name and address and that kind of information is there, but you need to go in and put more detailed information about your agency. It doesn't cost you anything to do this. It's absolutely free. Unless you want us to put the information in for you, then there's a minor charge. So to do this, all you do is go to that first screen. You type in findindependentagents.com, go to the top right-hand part of the screen and click Sign Up. Then you get this wonderful screen here, creating and updating your account. Okay? Very simple. All you have to do is go in and just verify that the information there regarding your agency for your name and address and stuff is correct. You want to put your website in there. If we don't have that, you'd want to enter that. Create your passwords. So you've got that information there, and then just click Submit. Now, once you get that, you'll have your business information. Now, here's where you really want to take some time, and you want to think about what you're going to input here. Because under the business information screen, you're going to have a description about your agency. Now, I've seen this a lot, and we're typical to do this from a different marketing perspective. So in our past marketing perspective, we would say, hey, our agency's been here for 60 years, family running on. We've been in the community. We've been working. We've helped with the Red Cross. We've been on the board of the hospital foundation. We've done these other things, right, in our community. And we would put that out there, okay? But now if you are marketing towards home insurance or auto insurance or something else, and you don't put the word auto insurance or car insurance or home insurance in that description, they're not going to find you. Because when Google does that search and they go through and they look at your web page and they pull all that text off and they store it in their database, and somebody types in the word automobile insurance and you don't have automobile insurance on your website or on that page, it's not going to locate you. So those keywords are key. So we want to make sure that we put those in the description so people can locate you. Now the next thing we have, which is something that your staff is probably going to run from you, but I highly encourage this. And Vanessa Fox talks about it in her book. Photographs, pictures, Very important. And very important that they're pictures of your staff, pictures of you. Maybe pictures of you in the community doing something. But in this case, we're looking for photographs of your staff. So when you get to this particular part, you put your description in about your agency. Now you're going to talk about your staff. What are their specialties? Now, all of these links, the links from your staff, the links from the main business information page, and all the links of all the independent agents are going to link together. Which does what? Helps increase our ranking on the search engines. So it's very vital that we do this. Okay? So I encourage you to put that information in here. Put information in about what they do. Take a photograph. You might want to put the camera at the door as they're exiting out, because when you say you're going to take their picture, they're going to run. Okay? But those pictures are important because people see a picture, and it's proven. If you go out there and you look at the picture on the screen, and you look at the Google search, you will see a photograph, and your eyes will go to that photograph first. Okay? So one of the things that you want to do is put those pictures up there. You also have maps. So it gives better recognition. Now the next thing we have are reviews. Reviews also help you with Google search and with the search engines. They boost you up. So if we're looking for a restaurant, or we're looking to go somewhere to a particular place, especially we'll just keep it with restaurants, we go search that on the internet. Say we're in a city we're not familiar with. We want to look at those reviews, right? We want to see if the restaurant is good. They're going to do the same thing with us. They want to see if people are having good service at our agencies. So you can go here and put those reviews up there. Now, if you go back just one slide and you notice over there at the top, you see where it's got those stars besides CIC. That's because they've got a review. So you can click on that and actually see the review. The review says, great agency. Well, we hope they say a lot more than just that. We put that one in there for the presentation today. But the key is they can type in about the experience they had at your agency. So if you're writing a policy, somebody's having a good time, or maybe you worked with a client on a claim and they had great service, you just ask them, would you mind going and put a review in on the internet? Now, some of you may say, well, George, what if they put something up there that's not really good for the agency? Maybe we gave them poor service. Okay. You want to know that as an agency owner or principal. You want to know that. So you want to go back and call them on the phone, talk to them. Don't have the conversation over social media, over the internet. Call them on the phone, give them a personal phone call. Speak to them, talk to them about the problem, resolve the problem, and then ask them to go back and put another review up. Okay? Categories. Let's talk about categories for a second. Categories actually equate back to keywords. Yes? Yes, you can. You can do that. Okay, the question was, if you can't resolve it, can you take it off? Yes, you can. You can do that. Okay? That's a good question. Okay, so going back to categories. With categories, we also already have predefined categories to help you with keywords. So you can select those as what types or lines of business of insurance that you have. Okay? You also, now I want to go back to show you. This is really neat. If you look at this site, you see where it says get a quote? It's got the quote piece up there on the screen. You can put that on this site as well. Okay, if you've got that on your website, you can add it to here. Okay, you can also put, if you've got your agency management system works on your website for people to get access, you can put that on here as well. So it gives them a whole other place to go to get access to data. Okay, and as I mentioned before, that's what people are looking for today. They're looking for that ability to get access after hours and quickly, either on their mobile device or over the internet. So now, if you need help with this particular piece, at the very bottom of the screen there, you see that little red arrow pointing over there. You can click that little icon button, and we've got videos that show you how to put this information in, which is vital. Okay? So if you want to try it yourself, I encourage you to go back and do this. At least get something up there. It doesn't have to be perfect to start with, but if you put something up there to start, and then you can go back and you can edit and maintain it and update it. Okay? But I encourage you to do that. The other thing I would encourage you to do on your websites, if you're using your website today and you haven't updated anything on that website in the last 30 days, I encourage you to do that. People want dynamic websites. They want to see change. They want to go back and see the same information. Okay? And a lot of our websites are what I would call brochures. We type the information, we put it out there, we leave it, we don't think about it. Okay? Very important that we do that. So we get back to our GPS piece. It's important for location purposes that we use findindependentagents.com. Okay? We want to make sure that people can locate us and find us. And what you do is going to benefit other independent agents as well. So we all need to work on that. So let's go to our next part of the presentation today. Is like preparing for our trip. Wow, we want to go somewhere. We want to do something. We want to set a goal. My father always said, you're not going to get anywhere if you don't know where you're going. Okay? So we want to make sure that we get together and we decide, what we want to do for a marketing plan. Have a marketing plan. A lot of agencies don't do this. They get so tied up in the day-to-day workings of the office, they don't sit down to plan for what they really want to do. Okay? So we want to get that marketing plan together. Okay? So we're going to talk about establishing the plan, creating your list, who you're going to go after, executing the plan, and monitoring those results. We heard that yesterday in the presentation that Chris had, talking about we need to monitor those results. It's very important. So as we go to this, we want to talk about this for just a second. Now, this was mentioned yesterday. I had a good conversation after the speech yesterday. There was a discussion where Chris said there wasn't really any data validating that retention, that number of policies equals retention. Well, the Act and Accord group did a study on this actually a couple years back, and it does have that data. So I'm going to share this with you today. So one policy per client, after 5 years, you have a 27% retention rate. And I'll tell you this, here's what I find. If you've got one policy and you're not trying to call to get the other policy, whoever's got the other policy is calling to get your policy. And you can guarantee in 5 years, that's going to happen. Somebody's going to call. So we need to have a marketing plan. Okay? We need to set that out. After 2 to 3 policies, after 5 years is 55%. And it says 4 more policies, 92%. Now, I like that number personally. I wish I had 4 policies for every client I had. That'd be really nice, right? But that's our goal. It's where we want to go for. Okay? So let's talk about establishing our marketing plan. Okay? You really want to determine your agency's area of expertise. Now, it's quite interesting, and I share this with you from a producer standpoint. We have some young agents in the room. Any young agents? Okay. All right, I share this with you today. Okay? So you can take this from experience. When you become a producer and you want to go out and sell, the first thing you have the tendency to do is just to go to any and everybody in the street. First, we'll go to friends and family, okay? And we talk to them about insurance. And we get those. And once we're finished with that, then we just go to anybody we see. We talk to them about insurance. Can we sell your insurance? Well, what happens is you bring that commercial policy back into the office and you find out that your carriers don't have a market. And then you've wasted all that time and effort going after that particular client, and you can't write the insurance. Okay? And I see this all the time. We really need to determine with our carriers, we need to talk to our carriers and find out, where's their niche? What are they trying to go after? What do we have a good shot at writing? And we need to develop that plan. Okay? And then we need to put everybody on that and start working the plan. All right? So we need to determine our agency's area of expertise. It might be that in the personal lines, maybe you got a great automobile rate. Okay? And now with everybody with homeowners, all the carriers that have, with the home, they want you to write the auto as well. That's a big push today. So we want to do that. So now we look at this. The other thing I want to do is get a champion. Get somebody in your office to help you with this. Put a champion in charge. Give them the ability to kind of work with this plan, create the marketing plan, have ownership in it. Okay, and help monitor the plan. It's important. We want to develop your plan by, maybe you want to do it by line of business. You want to cross-sell, auto, home auto, or commercial lines, general liability, workers' comp, etc. Or you want to do benefits. Okay, increase limits. I love this. In the state of North Carolina, with the minimum limits that we have, a lot of people come in and they say, I just want minimum limits. And you try to explain to them that they really need more than that. It's not going to cost them a whole lot to go that route, but they still buy that. But we need to, from an E&O perspective, we ran a campaign a while back that went through all of our automobile insurance that had minimum limits, and we sent them out a letter and we contacted them and told them that we could increase their limits, and we gave them an indicator of what the cost would be. And then if they said no, we put the information in the system that we had contacted them. We sent them a letter out. So if they come back later and they have an accident, and it's a bad accident, and it goes over their limits, then we have that information in the system. If they come back and say, well, you never told me about that, you can go back to the system and pull that documentation up. So it's very important from an E&O standpoint. And then there are other criteria that you could use. You could use it based on territories or ages or whatever. So then you want to create your marketing workflow campaign. So once you've decided that one piece, then you want to figure out what do you want to do. Do you want to send out a postcard? And of course, I don't think postcards work very well today. Or you may want to send an email out. Maybe it's an email. And then you want to follow up. Well, in our systems today, what's really great is you can create these campaigns. And you don't have to really work it a lot because your system does it for you. So your system will, once you send the email out, it'll tag a suspense that says in X number of days, the CSR needs to make this phone call to talk about this campaign. So they come in that day, and on their suspense or their diary, they have a list of things they need to do, and they see 5 or 10 or 15 calls that they need to make to clients based on the campaign. And then they make those. Now, by making that in the system, it's great because guess what? Now we can monitor the activity. And we can see what we're doing with that marketing campaign. So I believe that to be crucial. So we create our target list. As we create our target list, we get our target list built up in our system. We can then take that information and monitor it in the system. And you can create multiple target lists. So you may have target lists. And if you haven't done this, I encourage you to do this in your system. Go back, when you get back to your office, run a report based on the age of your insureds and see how many people you have in that 20 to 35 group. Because I'm going to argue the point today that that's probably going to be the smallest group you have in your agency. Now, why is that important? It's because your book of business is getting older, and eventually it's going to be gone. So we get back to the point of communication. That's why the internet and the phone technologies and things of that nature are important to us today, and we need to put emphasis on it because we need to get those younger people buying insurance from the independent agents. Okay, it's very important. And I'm really glad to see the young agents here today, okay, because I think you've got a great future ahead of you. Because you alone, you know this technology, you understand social media, you use it, you use Facebook, you use YouTube, you use Twitter, okay. You can help the agency's owners out, increase their book of business. I mean, sky's the limit. It's a great place to be at this particular point in time. So once you've got the target list done, the next thing we want to do is execute the plan. The champion leads the charge. The champion gets out there, not the agency owner, the champion, the person you put in charge. Let them lead the charge on this. Let them talk to the people, talk to the CSRs, work with the CSRs, making sure that they're executing what they're doing. Okay? Reward excellence. Doesn't have to be necessarily monetary. A lot of people just like recognition, right? They just want to be recognized. So if somebody's doing a great job and they're calling out on their plans and they're having some success, reward that. Reward it via an email or in a company meeting or something to that degree. Or maybe you give them dinner out or whatever you want to do, but reward that excellence. Then the other piece we want to talk about, monitor results. We want to monitor our results. Run regular reports. Okay? This was brought up yesterday as well. If we don't monitor what our people are doing, then we're going to end up with E&O issues, and some people are going to be working and others aren't. So we want to do this. We want to run new business reports, activity reports. As I mentioned before, your systems have the ability now to put these activities in there and tag when people do suspenses. You can see the timelines on a lot of these systems from the point that they were given the item to the point that they completed it. That's important. You also have production analysis reports. You want to review these weekly to start with. When you start your marketing plan, review these reports weekly. Go over it with your staff. Okay? Now they're going to know, wow, this is really important. They're asking me about this. I didn't make any phone calls last week, but man, I tell you what, next week I'm going to make some phone calls. And then the next time you get there, you say, wow, you did a great job. You called up on your phone calls. That's great on this campaign. How was the success? What kind of responses did you get from the clients? Okay? And then the other piece is you want to publish the results. You want to get the results out there so that they see the results. They know who's making the phone calls. Put it out there in front of them. Make it a contest. Make people in your office excited about doing this. Okay? And then you want to make any adjustments. If there's an adjustment that needs to be made, say that one of the things you might have, and this is probably common, you send the emails out and they bounce back. Okay? Maybe it's because we haven't updated our management system with the correct email address. Okay? So we want to make sure that we do that. And also texting. You could probably use texting as well. So now that we've got that piece, we want to talk about, we've prepared we got our GPS going, right? We prepared our plan. Now we want to talk about driving with efficiency in mind. Okay. Now we're here at Concord, and we got the racetrack over here, and I know that we may be spending a lot of gallons per mile, not miles per gallon. Okay, when we're driving that way. But we want to drive with efficiency, right? We want to get the most mileage per gallon. So We're going to do that by our carrier downloads and using real time. So download. Download ensures that your data syncs, that the carrier data syncs with yours. That also minimizes E&O exposure, reduces keystrokes, and saves time, which equals money. Okay? Now, the downloads that we have today, we have personalized download. We've had personalized download for quite a while. Okay? And that works very well for most agencies. And most carriers do a great job at that. Commercial lines download has been out for a little bit. Some work, some don't. Okay? Some have a few issues. We'll talk about that as well. Direct bill commission. Anybody using direct bill commission downloads? Okay, I tell you, isn't that great? Don't you like that? I love that. The first time I saw it work was just incredible. I'll talk about that in a moment. And then claims download. Anybody doing claims download? Okay, nobody in the room doing claims download, but I'm going to share you with that's the newest download that's out today, and it will help you create efficiency. So let's talk first about personal lines download. Over 200 plus carriers out there today. No reentry of data. I remember in the old days we had a carrier that didn't download, and it was one of our largest carriers. They'd bring in the information, the paper would come in, we had our management system, we had to rekey the data, right? And of course, then that was an issue where when we were rekeying the data, we could make a mistake. Okay, so then our system didn't match their system. Okay, so that was the issue that we ran into, and it created a lot of extra expense because we had to take the time to do that particular task. So those young agents in the room here probably can't even fathom the fact that we had to do that. All right, but we did. So we look at this. You also have accurate real-time carrier information. But the one I want to touch on here is enabling automated alerts and comparisons. Now this is something, if you're not doing it in your system, you need to be doing this. Because your systems give you the ability today to manage by exception. To say, if this policy comes in on the renewal and it goes up by 10% or 20% or whatever, I want you to flag that. I want you to put that out there so I can take a look at it and see. In the old days, we had to manually look at the policies, right? And then we got to the point where we could look at the information in the computer. Some systems won't do this, but they'll give you a list of what the policy premium was prior and the policy premium today. Now, in that case, you'll just have to manually look at it and make a note. But in a lot of systems, you have the ability to do this automatically. So it comes up on your screen, and you have that list. So now I know that these particular ones went up. So if I'm a customer and I get a renewal in the mail and my premium went up by 10, 20, 30%, what do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to shop. Who am I going to call? Am I going to call my agent? Probably not. You know who I'm going to call? I'm going to go to the internet. I'm going to type in insurance. You know what I'm going to find? I'm going to find a direct writer. You know who I'm going to call? I'm going to call the direct writer. That's exactly what's going to happen. So let's go back to retention. Retention is key in our business. We have to retain the business. We get so focused sometimes, I think, on selling new business, we don't think about the business we have. If you want to help increase your retention, you want to create efficiencies in your office, this is a great way to do it. These alerts come up and you see it. Now the beauty of this is, once the alert comes up, you can do a comparison in your system. You can then say, okay, I see where this came up. I want to now click a button, and I want to compare this to the prior term. And you may find that they added a car, or you may find that they had a DWI or some accident or points or something. And then you know, as an insurance independent agent, we have multiple markets. We can take this out to. We can click a button, send it out, and have it re-rated in a matter of minutes, and then get the information. We can have it automatically send out an email or print a letter and send it to the client, telling them, hey, your renewal came in, we saw where it went up, we've already rechecked it with a couple other carriers, requoted it, and here's a new premium. If you'll come by the office, we'll write this policy for you today. Now, how do you think that customer feels? They feel good, don't they? You know what they think then? Man, I've got a great insurance agent. They're very professional, they're looking after me. You know how they feel when they get that bill and it goes up and you don't call them? We don't care. That's right. So it's important that we do this. Now, share this story. I had a lady call me up one time and she said, Mr. Robertson, my insurance went up. I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't pay this premium, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to have to get my insurance somewhere else. So I went back through and I looked at this and I did a comparison. You know what I found out? 2 terms passed, she had added a car. So I said, Miss Smith, I said, did you add a car 2 years ago? She said, oh, yeah, my uncle died, left me that car. It's parked out back. I said, well, now, what policy are you reviewing where you see the insurance went up? She said, well, this is one from like 3 years ago. And I said, well, that's what this. She said, I'm so glad I called you. Okay? And that's because I went to the system quickly and got the information. So let's take a look at this. Commercial lines download. One of the things I want to hit here, 125 carriers. Eliminates duplicate entry of data. Alerts and comparisons, just like we talked before. It's even more important on commercial lines. But the one thing I want to hit is import and export of data. With commercial lines download, when the data comes in, you can now, with your systems, you can export that data out for drivers and vehicles and property and schedules. And you can send that to the insured and have them review it. And say, would you review this information and let me know if it's correct? Then they email it back to you. Now, what have I created? I've created an email trail. Okay? So now for purposes, I know that they've agreed to what we sent them. Okay? That's extremely important as we do this. Okay? Now, the other piece that's important on commercial lines download is the implementation of commercial lines download. I'm not going to tell you today, just go out and turn it on tomorrow. What I am going to say to you is this. Start with one carrier. If you haven't started this yet, start with one line of business. Some carriers will allow you to do one line of business, some won't. So you need to talk to the carrier. But you want to start and you want to get a champion. I like champions in the agency. Okay, I like to delegate. Get a champion in the agency. Give them ownership of this. Let them work this. Test that line of business. Make sure all the data coming in is going to the right place. One of the things we see with commercial lines download, in some cases, has gotten a lot better over the years. But in some cases, we have seen where the information comes in, it goes to the wrong place in the management system. Whether that's the way the management system coded it or whether that's the way the carrier downloaded it. Then you call both of them, you're trying to work it out, and it takes a long time. But the key is you want to test it. Because what you don't want to do is flip on commercial lines download and start using it, only to find out that you got to have your CSRs go back and fix the data. Okay? So it's very important that we test this. So then once you do this, you want to test the other lines of business, and then you want to go back, as you finish testing, you want to do an initial load into the system. Okay? Once you know all the tests are done and they're correct, you want to do initial load into the system and have all that data come in. Now, your data and the carrier's data matches. Okay? And that's extremely important. Okay? To create efficiencies. Direct bill commission download. Man, I tell you what. This is something you really can't test in your office until you really do it, until you really go live. But I called an agency up and I said, do you mind if I come out and sit with you and watch how this works? And they said, sure, come on over. So I got over there and they had a carrier download come in from direct bill. They were saving it for me. And they sat down and said, okay, George, we're going to go into the accounting part. We're going to select this piece. And they selected, automatically invoiced everything and matched it all up. And like 3 pieces came up on the screen that errored out. So she clicked on the different pieces, went in and checked the invoices, and said, oh, I know what this is. And she fixed it. She fixed those 3, and she was done. And I was like, well, is that it? And she said, yeah. I said, wow, that was quick. And I asked the question. I said, well, how long did that take you before you had direct bill commission download? And she said, well, George, actually, it wasn't just me. We had 3 other people in the department. I said, really? And she said, yeah. She said, they're doing other things now. But she said, they would work with this. I said, well, so y'all got that done in a day? Or she said, oh, it took us about 2.5 days. Now, this was a large agency. But I was amazed at the efficiency of this particular piece. Okay? So it's important that we do that. Now, the other piece, the story I tell is an agency I spoke to who found out that the carrier had made a mistake and not paid them for several thousands of dollars of commissions. Okay? Carriers aren't perfect either. All right? I'm sure that they're in the 90-some% range of this being accurate, but they make mistakes just like we do. So we want to make sure that we check that for lost commissions. Claims download. Wow, another great area. About 20 carriers, fairly new, out there in the marketplace today. No re-entry of the data. Okay, how many today what people are doing when they have a claim? Who do they call? Okay, sometimes they call us, sometimes they call the carrier, right? If they got, who are they? They call the company. They get to call the company, and the company gets the call. They put the information. Does the company call us to tell us that somebody called for a claim? Yeah, they don't call us. Okay, so when do we find out? Yeah, when we get the loss coming in, the loss is coming back, and then we're like, whoa, I didn't know they had an accident. So now with claims download, that data comes in immediately. You get that data, then you can pick up the phone and call your client and say, hey, I noticed that you called the carrier and you reported a claim. Are you okay? Is everything all right? Anything I can do? Okay? So It gives us quicker access to claims information, updated status. We can see the payments. We can see what the adjuster's notes are. I did talk to Karen Youngman the other day who is using this, and she's on the ACT committee for download, and she was telling me, she said, George, the only thing that I have that I don't like is that every time the adjuster goes in for one carrier, it doesn't matter what note they put in, it downloads. She said, I wish they could consolidate that part. But all in all, she loved it. She thought it was great. Okay, and also it can help us with our loss runs. And that's good for our business. Now, the other piece I want to show you, just look at the downloads. This is the people that are using the downloads according to the AUGIE survey that was done in 2009. We've got 85% on commercial, the smaller commercial lines carriers for agencies with 3 carriers or less, 39%, 23%, 4 or more. Direct bill commission at 47%. That's pretty good. And then claims download 28. Of course, claims download, as I said before, is new. Okay. Not all systems have claims download at this moment, but I think you'll see that in the future as the industry trends towards that area. Now I want to talk about my last topic here, which is going to be real time. I love real time. You know, some of the things that we have today, the top 2 agency frustrations are learning proprietary systems. I feel for these carrier reps. Every time they come out, they've got a new release of their website. They have to come train all of us. Okay? And then we have like 8, 10, however many websites we've got to learn. I feel for our CSRs because they've got to learn all these websites. They're all different. Okay? But that's an issue. Passwords are an issue. Hey, passwords. How many people keep their passwords written on a piece of paper? Okay? Or put it in an Excel spreadsheet. Or if somebody needs a password in the office, somebody says, hey, what's the password to so-and-so? Somebody else is yelling, oh, it's this. That's really secure. You're like, that's good. So that's an issue. That's an issue we need to face in the industry. And we're working on that, but we're not there yet. 2 time wasters. Duplicate data entry and proprietary systems. Okay? We do a lot of duplicate entry. I'll talk about that in a second. Real time for policy inquiry. Basically, you just go to the policy. You can select claims, whatever you need to do, and go right to the carrier website. For the rating piece, basically what you're doing is multiple carrier rates in real time on their systems and return back to your screen. Remember the days when we did the rating and they were manufactured rates and we sent it out and we get the rate back and they never were accurate. Clients got upset because we weren't quoting properly. They didn't have the right price. It was either high or low. If it was low, they were fine, but if it was high, they came back and gave you a hard time about it. The benefits of real time, consistent workflow, being able to process these transactions, claims management, first a notice of loss. You've got all that information in there, very quick and easy. You also have E&O loss control. It's no cost for us, by the way. A lot of this is built into our systems. In your agency management system, these features are already built into the system. You also have provide superior customer service because you can get access to the data quicker. You free up time so you can increase sales. The password administration is centralized password. So one of the things there that I like is in these systems today, you can't centralize the passwords to one place, okay? Which really helps you, in my opinion, from an owner perspective, that if somebody leaves, they don't have to know the passwords to the systems if you set this up correctly, okay? You've got one place to go and manage those passwords and change those passwords, okay? Not all carriers allow you to do that, but a lot do. So that's one thing that I'd mention to you today from a security standpoint. Real time, this is coming from an agency just talking about how easy it is where they don't have to type the policy number in to go to the website. It's very quick, fast. They go right in there. It goes right to where they need to go in a matter of seconds. Now, I'll share with you the real-time capabilities. We have billing, claims, endorsements, policy inquiry, and quoting. Okay, those are the ones that we have today. So if you look at this, on the billing. Hey, remember the old days, somebody calls up for a billing question. Well, that's the number one call we get from our clients, billing. Number one. Okay? They call us, and they say, I got this bill, want to know what it's about. Yeah, I thought I paid this. We call the carrier. We wait on hold. We wait on hold. We get the person on the phone. We get our question answered. We call the insured back. We tell the insured, oh, we found out what this is, and the insured asks us another question. Now we got to call the carrier back again, and then we call them. You know how much time that takes? That's a lot of time. Do you think the client has a good customer experience? No, they don't. We may think they do, but they don't. So we want this to go like this. Mr. Robertson, I got a question on my policy here. Well, yes, John, what can I help you with? Well, I'm looking at this. I paid this premium last week, but I got this bill in the mail. And I think it may have crossed. Well, can you check this for me? Sure, I can. You go to the system, you highlight the policy, you open up real time, you select billing, and off it goes. And then in a matter of seconds, it pops up on the screen, and you get all the billing information. And you can say, well, John, I'm looking here, and I see where they did receive that, but they received it after they sent the bill out. They sent the bill out before that, and then they got your payment. So it just crossed in the mail, but everything's fine. Thank you for your business. Oh, by the way, I noticed here that you don't have homeowner insurance with us. Can I talk to you about that for a moment? Okay. Better customer experience. Now, claims inquiries. Real-time claim. I want to talk about this for a second because I think this is important as well. You can go in the system, you can highlight the policy, you can select it, you can go into the claim, you can put the claim information right to the carrier website, first notice of loss. You can review payments, you can review the history of the claim, where it is in the system as well. Now, if you've got claims download, it's even better because you can go in your system, you don't even have to do this. Okay? Real-time rating. Real-time rating. I love this piece because you can log on now with real-time and get access to multiple carriers, okay, quickly. I came into the office one day, stack full of stuff on everybody's desk. I said, what's going on? They said, well, while you were out, one of our carriers called back, and they're pulling out because of the beach plan. Okay, and you guys can probably appreciate that, right? So they were rating the policy. You know what they were doing? They were taking the auto policy, and they were rating it with 4 different carriers. They were putting all the drivers in, the vehicles in, the points in, on every website. They were only doing 4 of the 8 that we had. It took them an hour. There's no way we're going to get that done. You ever done a book roll? Anybody book roll? They're tough. They're not easy. So we put in real time. Immediately, we went out and researched. We put in real time. Put in real time rating. They went to the policy, went to the link. They clicked it. They sent it out. It rated it with 8 different carriers. 6 to 8 minutes on average. 8 carriers. Absolutely amazing. Endorsement request. We talk about this. We can go quickly to the carrier website with real time, cutting down our time, get the endorsement request in. Now, what I like about this is the activity piece, because it puts an activity in our system so we know we did the endorsement request, okay? And it follows up. Some activities are automatic. You can set your system up to be automatic on the back end, or you can type in information on those systems. And it improves the customer experience. Policy inquiry, somebody calls up very quickly. You highlight the policy, go to real-time, policy inquiry. Information comes up on the screen. Now, can you imagine now that the carriers are really liking us even better because we're not calling them all the time? Remember all the call centers they had and everybody's sitting there? I can guarantee you that the carriers really like this. Okay? It's very important for them. Time savings. This is Mark Stoller. I'll tell you about Mark. 5.5 hours per CSR in his office, okay, that he's saving. Okay? He turned around and used that time to call his customers and to do more of a consultative sale to the customer and talk to them about what they were doing. Okay? And the principal's always involved. The principal needs to be involved in any of these implementations. Survey results from the Acton AUGIE study, 3,200, 1 person per agency, 90% had agency management systems, 54% using real-time tools, 43% personal lines, 18% commercial lines. A significant increase over the past years. And I think this is going to continue. Here's some of the stats to show you the numbers. You'll see that in personal lines per CSR, they're saving 30 to 60 minutes a day. Commercial lines, it averages out to about 43 minutes a day. Real-time carriers, you got a ton of these. Notice how the graph keeps going up. Now, at some point, we're going to plateau up there. But the carriers are really coming on board with this because they see the efficiency. Because, you know, if you make that phone call to the carrier, that costs them a lot of money. And it really costs us a lot of money, too. So, real-time makes dollars. It's important for us to use real-time in our agencies, to generate efficiencies, to have better customer service. And if you go to the website at the bottom where it says getrealtime.org, a lot of great data. Now, on your flash drives that you have here today, there's a lot of that information there. I've already pre-printed it out and put it on that flash drive for you. So you will have that data. It talks about implementing real-time. They also have a piece up there where you can go in and put the information in, and it'll calculate your time savings as well as what you're going to save in dollars at your agency. You want to monitor the results, as we mentioned before, and everything else I've talked about. Review compliance, provide benchmarking, and look at the productivity gains. Make sure people are using real time. People will tell you, and I love this. I went in one time and the lady said, George, I can do this faster. I said, you can. I said, that's great. I like that. I said, so let's do this real quick. I got a stopwatch. Why don't you go in and do this endorsement? And she did the endorsement, typed it in, and went to the screen. And then I said, let's do it real time. Put the real time in. It was 15 to 20 seconds faster. Now, why do you think she thought she could do it faster? Because she was typing. And she was doing something as she was typing. So when she hit the real time button, it would go out, and there would be like this wait period of a few seconds. And she thought that that was taking longer, but the issue was it wasn't. So encourage your staff to use real time. Here again, the website. And we appreciate your time today. Do we have any other time, Wayne? Well, just 1 minute. That's what I thought. Okay. All right, guys. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to take questions afterwards. It's a pleasure to be with you today. I hope you've got some benefit out of this presentation as far as efficiencies. If you need help with real time, please call me. More than happy to help you with that. Downloads or marketing plans, or even with your website or findindependentagents.com. I really encourage you to go to findindependentagents.com and take a look at that site and put your information up. So thank you very much for your time today.